I think we all go through a level of some kind of swing. Most of us, all right? Maybe there are people who stay really consistent all the way through. But for most people, sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're sad. You know, you have a bad day. That's normal. This is why I specifically use the word intense mood swings. 1 minute, they're all the way up here. Next minute, they're all the way down here. All right? And many times, it's without even an obvious trigger. It's just out of nowhere. They're just, boom, swinging. And this kind of emotional roller coaster can lead to a lot of bigger problems, all right? One, when someone can swing so intensely back and forth, that shows a level of emotional instability, all right? That instability can get even more toxic. It can turn to abuse because now when you are so unstable, it's easier to let things come out of your mouth that you shouldn't be saying. It's easier to take certain actions that you should not be taking. It's easier to come completely out of character because they don't have a good control of self and their emotions. And their emotions are running them. And that is not healthy for any individual. So when you start to notice this person has these types of swings, again, we've got to dive deeper. Now, I feel the need to talk about depression. And let me say this. I mentioned in a different video that, listen, somebody can be depressed, and we're talking about men for right now, but it can apply to anyone. Someone can be depressed, and to me, the issue isn't that they're depressed. The issue is, are they willing to do something about it? Are they willing to work with you? Because if not, you should not be obligated to have to now be prisoner to the situation. Now, there are people who take offense to that. And I mean no offense. I'm not here to hurt people's feelings. But what I want those who may take issue with that to understand is, when your response to that is saying, well, you know, some people can't control it, you know, people struggle, it's worse than we realize, then my response is, okay, then what's the cutoff? To what extent do we allow this to drag on? Because if we're just so focused on you having sympathy for this individual, now there comes a point where people will sacrifice their own peace and sanity for giving them sympathy. And without there being any kind of line drawn, it can drive them to all kinds of depths of misery. It can completely drain and damage them, as well as destroy and deteriorate the quality of the relationship. So what purpose does it serve if there isn't at least an understood line? Now, to me, because there must be a line, the easiest line to draw is, as long as you're willing to make an effort. We're not saying the person has to go from fixing their depression tomorrow to being perfect the next day or whatever. We're saying you're working towards better. You're putting forth the effort, whether it's going to a coach or a therapist, whether it's getting medication. I'm just quick disclaimer, me personally, I don't believe in medication for this, but I am not a doctor. I'm just giving you my personal view. But I would suggest speaking to mental health professionals in this area as far as that. And that's a personal decision to make. I just want to make that clear. But at least you're doing something. Whether I believe in that or not, at least it still shows you're making an effort to make this better. All right. So there's a difference between having sympathy for someone who is, let's just say they're on medication, taking their medication, but they still have their days where they struggle. Okay, that's cool. But if this person's saying, I'm not going to get some help, I don't need any help, I'm fine, or I just don't want to do it, whatever their excuse is, no. Because you want to give so much sympathy to them, but where's the sympathy to the person that has to deal with it? They matter too. So getting back to the mood swings, again, pay very close attention to that. And it's a matter of, as I sound like a broken record, addressing it. Plain and simple, it needs to be addressed. It needs to be worked on. It cannot be overlooked. All right, so before we move on to the next one, here is your chance to get your personal question answered for free on my next live coaching call with my membership program. All you have to do is go to askstefanspeaks.com, click the link in the description or in the comment section, submit your question, and you will have an opportunity to get that question answered for free on my live call. Again, that's askstefanspeaks.com. All right, so now we are on to number 5 on the list, and the 5th sign of an emotionally damaged man, emotionally broken man, I keep using the different words, anyways, is low self-esteem and lack of confidence. Now, I want to start by saying this. I don't think any of these issues should be overlooked. But do I believe that, or will I agree that there is different levels of severity with each one? Yes. And so I think that a lot of times there are plenty of people who lack confidence or lack a level of self-esteem, at least if not overall, and maybe in certain areas of their life. Now, again, I'm saying that to acknowledge it's a very common issue. I'm saying that to acknowledge that this is something that maybe we can have a little bit more patience with, but patience is still not in just accepting it for what it is. Patience is just saying, okay, let's discuss it. We're working on it. Let's work towards making things better. Because again, you can't overlook it, because lack of self-esteem and lack of confidence can wreak havoc on a relationship. Hey, thank you for watching this video. Be sure to check this one out right here, and I'll see you there. Relationships are the key to a successful life. But there's 5 areas that we have to be mindful of when it comes to relationships. There's relationship with God, relationship with ourselves, relationship with family and friends,